Hey everyone, this is Kermit. I bring you another standard match. Today's match is going to be a little bit special actually, because this is a match recorded from the Construction Cup that we actually had at our locals this past Sunday. Now, in case you don't know, the Construction Cup is, I guess, kind of a new format, but basically what it means is, at least for this first Construction Cup, you can only ride into grade 3s that are released in either BT1 or the startup start decks. So basically, at the time of this recording, BT1 is not out yet, and of course it was not out yet for this tournament, which means that everyone playing in this tournament had to be playing one of the startup deck boss units, which, in case you haven't taken a look at them, they're all honestly pretty bad for like current standard. But as as boss units in their own format, I think that it has the potential to be like a very interesting format, at least for deck building. Maybe not necessarily playing, but it is definitely a pretty fun format. Anyways, I suppose we can go ahead and get into the match. So, as you can see, even though you do have to ride into the grade 3 and you can't actually ride into any other grade 3, you do have the option of choosing which ride line that you actually want to be playing, because I mean at this point in time, since BT1 isn't even out yet, that would mean that we'd have to play with literally vanilla ride lines if that were the case, that it was exclusive to the ride lines too, because the startup decks don't actually come with the real ride lines, they just come with a bunch of vanillas. So in order to avoid that, Bushiroad allowed us to, actually use real ride lines. So I guess we can also mention who is playing right now. We have Orion on the left playing Triumph Dragon, and on the right we have the Keter startup trial deck, which I don't actually remember the name of it, but it turned out to be one of the better of the decks, because I believe there were 3 of them in top 8. The other one was actually Kristanos. Surprisingly, ended up being another just really good contender. Anyways, I feel like if there's any video that those card pop-ups are going to be super essential, it is actually going to be this one, because of the nature of this format, there are just so many random cards that you end up just playing, just because, a lot of these decks end up being good stuff deck, kind of just like early Yu-Gi-Oh, I guess. But we'll see which deck can actually come up on top. So we've had a couple of turns here just passing by in front of you. We see Orion using the Shoujo Doji ride line. There's a ton of stealth cards in Dragon Empire, so being able to just like have access to like free +1s like we see here, cosplaying Shiranui, I guess. Although I guess Shiranui is cosplaying Shoujo Doji, so whatever. Anyways, you see another one of those cards that you just never see unless you're in like a limited format. That being that one Crow, Stealth Fiend something Crow. We'll see him pop up a little bit later, because he does actually somewhat have a relevant effect. And I believe since he is placed by a card effect, he does actually get another 5,000. So he's unironically a 13k attacker on this first grade 3 turn. So honestly, that's just really funny. So we're going to be swinging, actually I think that's supposed to be 13 at that rear guard. I think we just realized that right now. But we are swinging this at Vanguard for a very nice 18, getting nothing on that drive check. And sheesh, where else can you see this grade 1 Gandiva card boosting a Shoujo Doji and then using its skill? Like, man, you would never see that in like an actual Shoujo Doji, but just like the amount of just like random stuff that ends up coming up is honestly just pretty funny. And there's like so many small interactions that we'll go ahead and be seeing that you wouldn't regularly see in standard, just because there's just better stuff to play. Anyways, we did see the youth ride line being used here. I'm not sure if that's the best one, but it is definitely usable, just because you do have the skill of the grade 1 to check top 3, call another thing. Just getting as much advantage as you can in this format is very essential, because this is a very low power format. There's probably not as much shield value, unless you're choosing to play like counter heals or like specific blitz orders, but a lot of the times you're just playing like the good stuff, which I kind of just lost track of what I was trying to say. Anyways, we see the grade 3 using the skill that all the grade 3s there actually have, which is the Counterblast one, give them 10k and search out a copy of the Persona Ride, which is something that makes like a specific, there's a specific outcrop of cards that have a lot of Persona Ride effects, and I think that this is another thing that's cool about this format is that it allows those cards to shine. So obviously things like the Psycho card, Spiral Cutie, Margaret, the Dragon Empire one, who I don't know the name of. He's probably a Drag Rider or something, right? Anyways, all those cards and the ones we got in BT9 all have the potential to really shine in this format because, you know, you kind of have guaranteed Persona Ride as long as you have the CB. Now, some of them use CB themselves, but I think like resource management is also pretty important in this deck. That's kind of the point that I'm going for, where like, you know, you have CB, that your Vanguard uses one CB, but you have the rest of the CB for, you know, your entire deck. Anyways, another interesting card there. I remember seeing this in the sneak peek format. That dragon guy, he's supposed to be a Solarion card, but he is technically a on play. He's, what is that, the card? Battle Scissor Coco from set 1. You just check the top card of the deck and then decide where to place it. We also see a Cadwalla there, as well as a cat being used to just kind of get some more advantage. Swinging the 10k dragon, going to be intercepting with that Brachioforce, swinging with the Vanguard, energy blasting 4, and, you know, calling something from the drop. I guess another thing that I forgot to mention is this is technically my first video where we are going to be seeing energy, and as you can see, we have a very creative ways of actually, you know, displaying the energy. We've got like cards from another game, and we've got Orion's specialty, you know, just putting face down cards. I don't know if that's going to be a specialty going forward, but it's very funny to look at right now. That's what happens when you do a last minute change. Anyways, we do see a very rare double critical going off there. I believe we split the power onto both of our rear guards, so we've got 28k columns here. Going to be blocking this one with a easy, what's that called? What am I trying to say? With an easy 10k block, and then the other one's just going to be hit with a 15k block there. So finally riding into the Triumph Dragon using the Psycho card. He has a way too long name there. I'm not going to be saying that. Using Triumph Dragon skill to search out. So a lot of the times this format can get a little bit samey because, I mean, literally everyone is riding to grade 3, CB1, get 10k search, and then your turn 4 is always Persona Ride, do things. But honestly, just like the rear guards are what kind of makes this a little bit interesting. And then technically, all the boss units do have interesting enough skills, I guess. Most of them are just like multi-attack, but Triumph Dragon manages to be kind of unique in the sense that he gives himself a crit. So, and an extra 5k, so he's hitting for a nice 28k number. We see the grade 3 from Festival here being used to swing at the Vanguard, counterblasting the 1, retiring one of the rear guards. Looks like we're going to be deciding to retire the grade 1. Maybe just a little bit of miscommunication there. It does actually only retire 1, so that grade 1 is going to be sticking around for quite a while. But then we are going to be using the skill of the Silent Crow there. Since the rear guard was retired, in the same column, you can counterblast 1 and draw a card, which is an effect that is absolutely terrible, especially since, you know, Dragon Empire kind of famous for having 0 counter charge, you know, but the fact that this is such a limited format, you can actually get away with using cards like this, but we'll see if that extra CB that we kind of just converted into a draw is going to end up, you know, biting us later. But we do see a critical trigger being flipped here as we take the Vanguard swing, pushing us 3 damage further, including a double defensive there, a heal and then a crit. Unfortunately, the heal does not get to go off, but you know, the extra power is going to be staving off this Brachioforce, who is going to actually be setting off a very interesting little chain reaction here, as we are going to be seeing. So Brachioforce is going to hit, it's going to retire itself, retire another unit, and then because the opponent has 3 or less rear guards, we can pay the cost for that promo, or not 3 or less, because the opponent now has 1 rear guard. You can pay the cost, put it to the soul, and draw a card. I believe that might be how it works. I could be wrong. That could totally be like a incorrect ruling, because I think, yeah, I think that might actually be incorrect now that I'm thinking about it, because the skill activates on boost, and I think you do need to get the extra 5k in order to actually get the extra pay the cost skill. I'll leave that one to the judges. If I were a judge, I'd probably say no, but it is a very interesting, and I guess that might make it like a good judge question, in all honesty. But I'm pretty sure that it's not supposed to go off. But at the same time, you know, these are just like really unique and interesting interactions that we don't actually really see in standard a lot. But yeah, so mistakes are bound to be made. That's what I'm trying to go for. Anyways, of course, we do see the turn 4 Persona Ride. Kind of, you know, you saw that coming. That's what you do every single turn. You counterblast one, search your Persona Ride. Next turn, you go Persona Ride, and then, you know, keep doing things. As we see the Spiral Cutie being called here, I believe we did use this skill to check the top 2. 1 to hand, 1 to top, I believe. That's usually what ends up happening with that Spiral Cutie. I guess we're kind of deciding on how we want to, you know, deploy the rear guards here. We're calling that other grade 1, which is a Hexa Orb card from set 1, I think. It might even be the ride line, but I honestly don't remember. That card is so old. Swinging the Spiral Cutie, hitting that 4th damage, no defensive there. This Vanguard is going to be swinging for a very big 33 at, of course, the Vanguard, using the skill to Energy Blast 4 in order to actually call something back from the drop zone. Looks like we're thinking about that counter charge, and it looks like that is going to be what we're going to be going for. It is going to be getting an extra 10k in order, by the effect of, you know, the boss unit. We see a draw trigger being flipped here, kind of deciding on where we want to actually put the power. Looks like we're giving to that Cadwalla, and then we're going to be using the skill of the grade 1. Since we flipped over a trigger, we can counterblast 1 and bot deck a front row rear guard. So we're going to be bot decking that grade 3 there, and we see another trigger being flipped here. Going to be that draw trigger, giving the power to that counter charger. So now we've got some pretty big columns here. I believe both of them are hitting 38, which is, you know, pretty decent numbers, especially for this format. So going to be swinging that Cadwalla first. Definitely the correct play. I popped up this grade 1 here because even though it's not activating its effect, I'm almost sure that none of you watching knows what that card does. It's just, I think every single nation has it, where it's like it's 13k if your opponent is on grade 3. But of course, like I was saying, the correct sequencing here is to swing at the Cadwalla first, because Cadwalla does need to see 4 or more units, I think. I don't remember if it's units or rear guards, but either way, putting it into using its skill first is going to be, you know, allowing us to not risk not fulfilling the conditions for Cadwalla. There we go. We do see a copy of that grade 3 card. People who've played Thegria, or should I say coped on Thegria, should be very familiar with that card. That is the Counterblast 2 in order to give your Vanguard an extra drive. As we see her name's Turnar. I feel like I've said that before in like a video or something, so I feel like I should have known that. Anyways, going back to Triumph Dragon, of course we do see the turn 4 Persona Ride. That's kind of what you should expect on these turn 4s, using the skills Caramel's 1, adding the Persona Ride to the hand. You know, of course, deck thinning is always, you know, advantageous and the best thing that you can be doing pretty much every single turn, as long as you have the CB to spare it. So we see the Silent Crow being pushed up there. Probably don't have a lot of other attackers. We still do have a pretty decent hand, I would say. Almost rated to energy charge. Yeah, definitely. Everyone is not yet used to energy. I guess, you know, let me know in the comments, how are you guys adapting to energy? Are you forgetting every time? Are you losing games because, you know, you're forgetting to Energy Blast 7 to draw a card? I mean, that's all you can really do right now, but, you know. Anyways, let's get into the match. Let's go ahead, and we see the Triumph Dragon being the first to swing, using the skill to Energy Blast, retiring that unit, and using Silent Crow again to Counterblast 1 and draw a card. So it's going to be a 2 crit damage. We see it being PG'd, and we see an over trigger being flipped over on that first drive check. So we do kind of have to decide where we want to put that 100 million. theoretically we could put it on the Vanguard, but the problem is that Triumph Dragon, if you were paying attention, it says it gets 5k and a crit until the end of the battle, which means that if you want to swing with it again, you are going to have to pay that cost again, which right now Triumph Dragon definitely can pay, so there might be a decent amount of logic to, you know, just giving everything to the Vanguard, swinging again, playing EV4 in order to get another crit, and because that's, you know, that's a lethal attack, the opponent's at 4, but we see a critical trigger being flipped here, probably just going to be needing crit to the Silent Crow. Of course, it is 100 million, so that's just going to be calling out for a PG, and if you don't PG it, you're dead. But, you know, I guess Triumph Dragon is still pretty decently big at this moment. You're under Persona Ride. If you Energy Blast 4 again, you can get another 5k. So you're still at 38. So that's not a, like, that's not a pitiful number. Like, it's still lethal. Having, like, 2 lethal swings in this format is, like, kind of unheard of. So you are forcing out a fair amount of guard here. And if you flip over another crit, you kind of just win because you just have... you have PG column and then a really big column that's also swing for lethal. So let's see, what are we guarding with here? Let's see, I think that's 2 15Ks, so that is currently a 1 to pass. Adding another 15K for a no pass, I believe. Let's see, that's 58. Yeah, 58 should be a... Is that 2 to pass? Yeah, that is a 2 to pass, yeah. Wait... So if those are there's 3 15s, I'm having a little trouble just because of the glare, but hopefully you guys can see most of it. But we're going to be really overguarding that. We see a heal trigger being flipped here, giving the power to that, of course, other rearguard that doesn't have 100 million. Going to be swinging the 100 million for the 2 damage, calling out that Elementaria. So we did have the second PG. So even if we had given all the effects to the Vanguard, we wouldn't have been able to, you know, close things out there. But, you know, being able to PG that 100 million, we can just take that last swing. And then, of course, we are going to be using that promo once again to put into Soul and draw a card. This time, it is definitely correct because, you know, there is 1 rear guard there, even though we didn't play in order this turn. So, what do you know? Another Persona Ride from Keter. Who would have seen that coming? As we are going to be seeing, honestly, a pretty difficult choice here. You can either use up both your counter blasts to give your Vanguard an extra drive, or you can guarantee yourself that Persona Ride next turn. Not sure if we still have any more left in the deck, because you can technically only use that skill, what is it, 1, 2, 3 times, and we've already used it twice, so it's definitely within the realm of possibility that we don't actually have any more Personas left, so swinging like this is not all that bad. So we do swing the 23 there, using the skill, of course, giving up the last bit of our energy, calling out that grade 3 rearguard, giving an extra 10k, and since we did Persona Ride, it is going to be getting an extra 5k on attack and battle door. So we see a PG being used to counter this this Vanguard swing, getting a heal trigger off the top. Definitely pretty terrible. You did want to try and finish things off during the last turn. Nothing in the second or the third check, and that third check we do actually see the last copy of Persona Ride being added to the hand there. So swinging the 23 once again at the Vanguard. Not a difficult attack to block. It's just a 15k guard, but looks like we're going to be taking it. Honestly, maybe not the correct play there. I mean, we just kind of guarded with 2 15ks to block the 38 there. I think we probably just got pigeonholed into thinking, oh, I can use 2 15s on this other rear guard, and, you know, I don't have to worry about... Oh, wait. Oh, that other one might have been at 33, my mistake. I might have misread the numbers there because we did flip over a heal trigger and we did assign some power there. So if that's a mistake, I'm sure I'll fix it in editing. But anyways, we do see, what is this? The Counterblast one, we didn't have the Persona Ride, I don't think, unless I missed it, which is totally possible. We see some more units being deployed here. And then, you know, just swinging. And, of course, we only have 3 energy, so there's no crit coming on with this swing. We see OT being used to guard there. So that's both OTs out of the game. Swinging that rearguard Triumph Dragon. Oh, looks like we're going to be swinging with the other column. Oh, I see what we're trying to do. We're trying to swing at the columns in order to make it so that, you know, this promo gets another 5k on boost, because, you know, the opponent now has 1 or less rear guards. So I guess technically that is a little bit correct, but at the same time you do need to push some damage. But use that promo for the 3rd time, putting it to soul and drawing another card. And now things are looking very dicey here, I should say. We've got the last Persona Ride coming on down. We have that grade 3, which honestly maybe we should have tried aiming for that. We did see the Persona Ride in the drive check, so we did kind of know this was coming. So now you do kind of have to face down 2 battle doors and a Vanguard swing. Now theoretically we could commit our last counterblast to giving our Vanguard an extra 10k power, which is probably not a terrible choice here. But I mean, your opponent's at 5. They still do have like a lot of cards in hand plus an intercept, but you know, there is a decent chance that you could finish things here. And you do have 4. No, wait, do we have 4 attacks? Did we forget to energy charge? No. I think we're at 3 right now. So we do only have 3 attacks. But if we could throw up something like a front trigger, which now that I'm thinking about it, we got double draw, so we're probably not playing front triggers. So that idea out the window. But looks like we are actually doing the CB1 to get plus 10k and shuffle the deck, which is going to you know, make our Vanguard hit that much harder. Calling out that grade 2 dragon, checking the top, and then just putting it on the bottom. Checking the top once again because, you know, we put it on the bottom. So we're looking to try and finish things out here as we swing the Vanguard for that 33. Going to be seeing nothing off of the drive checks. We still do have 2 battle doors at 28 apiece. So, you know, pretty decent chance. You know, we're probably gonna we're definitely gonna get 4 cards out of hand, because they are going to need to commit 2 to guard each one, as we see a 33 being guarded there, and then of course another is that 33? Yeah, probably 33 guarding that other swing. So we just got 4 cards out of the opponent's hands, along with that. Did they PG it? I don't remember. It literally just happened, but you know, I guess like I can't remember. Anyways, I don't know if you noticed this, but this match is kind of going on for quite a while. Another negative of this format. Did I say any other negatives? I mean, probably. But another negative of this format is just the low power does kind of mean that matches last for a very long time. I mean, you're just seeing right now, it's like 26-minute long video. Like, can you imagine playing this in tourney? That's or playing games like this long in like a 4-round tourney even. Anyways, we see the Triumph Dragon swing in for that lethal. Unfortunately, it is just 18, which I guess is better than nothing, because this trigger that we're throwing down is going to be a 1 to pass. Adding another 5k is going to make it a 2 to pass, because it's 33. You know, we would have to get 2 triggers in order to break through that. And we do actually see a draw trigger being flipped up here. So honestly, I think like in the last video I talked about how this is the last video. I remember in a previous video I talked about how putting everything on the Vanguard sometimes is the correct play, and this actually might be one of the instances in which it is, but we don't see anything off of that second trigger. And we did, Orion actually made a really big misplay, and I remember I called him out for this. He assigned the power before he drew a card, and if you take a look at his hand, he did actually draw that last draw trigger that he had in his deck. I think he had like 3 triggers left, and his deck was at like 6 or something, so he had a pretty decent chance of getting a trigger in that second check. But if he had known that, you know, one of them was already out thanks to that draw trigger, we probably wouldn't have committed. Maybe we could have taken the game, but it's kind of up in the air. But anyways, it's looking like we are finally at the final turn. There are no more Persona rides to be had, but with Orion just having, you know, 4 cards in hand, 4 attacks, each one is going to have to block 1 attack on its own, or you know, she's gonna have to get pretty lucky. So we're looking at like attacks that aren't that big, I suppose. We've got only, yeah, it looks like we might only have 3 attacks here. maybe a little bit of a misalignment of the columns. We could probably have made a Cadwalla column all by herself, Painkiller boosting that heal trigger. Cadwalla swings in at that intercept to kind of just ensure things, but instead we're going for just 3 attacks here. It's a little bit of a misplay, but at the same time, this is like the late game, and honestly, all you really have to do is blow on your opponent in order to, knock them over and, win the game. But the Cadwalla skill being used here, searching out another copy of that grade 3 Battle Door. And then I guess we do also have the Painkiller Angel that we could theoretically proc here. We could Soul Blast one. It looks like I could definitely see one more Soul there. Yeah, definitely we have 2 more Soul. It's not bad too, I guess. I mean, there's a possibility you just straight up just draw into a trigger that you would have hoped to check. Or you could, deck thin. There's always the infinite conundrum of what you should do. Should you draw the card, or should you bank on it, that card being a trigger? But anyways, we see the grade 3 skill being used here. Calling back, looks like we're going for that Battle Door, but it's not necessarily... it probably doesn't honestly make that much of a difference. I think you just go for like any grade 3 here, because, it's the same number. You're not on Persona Rai. So it looks like, speaking of Persona Rai, just be calling out a Persona Rai from the drop zone, giving it an extra 10k, and kind of just having this really strong swing here. So this is just a 13, but with only 3 cards in hand, and still having to guard another one. We're going to be guarding for a 2 to pass here, getting nothing off of the drive check, but that last card in hand being a grade 3 cycle card from Festival is not going to be it, since we didn't flip over any triggers. So that is going to be the end of the match. I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to do those YouTube things, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.